Welcome back to Between Two White Coats, a podcast designed to help you be the healthiest version of yourself. I'm Dr. Michelle Plaster, a family medicine doctor.
And I'm her co-host, Amber Foster, a family nurse practitioner. In our combined 30 years in medicine, we've seen a lot.
We're discussing key issues surrounding health and wellness, answering some of our biggest questions, overcoming health obstacles, and giving patient-centered advice in hopes of educating you and providing the tools you need to live a healthy life.
If you find our podcast helpful, please consider subscribing so you don't miss an episode. And don't forget to leave us a 5-star rating and review. This will help other people find our podcast.
Thanks for joining us. We look forward to serving you. Hello and welcome back to Between Two White Coats. We have a very special guest and friend of ours today, and that is Jenny Fisher. Jenny is a health coach. She is a nutrition coach. She has a bachelor's degree in nutrition. And pretty much what Jenny's trying to do is help people live long and prosper and feel good and be strong. You have heard Amber and I on other episodes talk about it is our life's goal to not become a frail old woman. And no one on Jenny's watch is going to become a frail old woman. Jenny, thank you for joining
Thanks
us.
for
You've
having
driven over from Charleston area to be with us here in Monroe, Georgia today. Please tell us a little bit about what you would have people know about you.
Yeah, so I started as just a working mom that was sharing on Instagram just fun little workouts for other moms because I had so many friends that knew me as you're the one that goes to the gym. And from there, I kind of became an accidental influencer. And so I just kind of went with it and I felt like I was a source of inspiration and just basic, really common sense knowledge. From there, my career took off to where I was in more metabolic consulting and AI with metabolics and Alzheimer's dementia prevention. Yeah.
We met Jenny because she worked for a lab and she came in and informed us and helped us get some knowledge on some labs to help really how do you live your best life to prevent Alzheimer's and dementia and grabbing some lab values to be able to make some lifestyle changes to protect our brains. And so that's how we got to know her. And then we were building our wellness center at the time. And she's like, I love what you're doing here in primary care because this is really about.
Well, I remember when she was like, oh yeah, I have this small little fitness thing I do on Instagram.
Oh,
and
yes.
So like I pulled it up and I was like, she has a blue check mark. She's not small.
Yeah, I came out of.
I was like, Shelly, she's not small.
I came out of an exam room and Amber and Scotty are huddled over and they're like, did you see how many followers Jenny has?
I was like, this is not a small thing.
And so as we talk
Jenny's
about
a big deal.
That,
Thanks.
What is your, how can people find you on social media?
So all of my social media, just about every platform is Jenny Fisher Fitness. And then my training app is SALT Training App, and it stands for Strength, Agility, Longevity Training.
Okay.
And those are the components that, like you said, we want to live and we don't want to be the frail old woman that needs help with everything that we do. And I call it preserving the sexy. And what I mean by that is I don't have to look like a supermodel when I'm 80 years old, but I don't really want to use an acorn stair lift if I don't have to, you know? So that's
not sexy.
Thank you. It's not that sexy. No offense to anybody that has to, but if you don't have to and you can prevent that thing, that kind of thing, that's really cool. So building that muscle in there, fueling yourself properly, still getting that agility and plyometrics and things like that. Those are the things that are going to lead you to a long life. But talking about dementia prevention, all that, that's really what kind of opened my eyes to the thing that I always knew, but I never looked into the research of it. And I was like, this is a holistic, very systemic metabolic condition. It's not just, man, I hope I don't lose my memory.
Right.
It is, what did you do in your 30s, 40s, 50s, even 60s that could have prevented it or maybe led to it? And so that's been a mission of mine, is not only just teaching people fitness and getting them more muscles or getting them quote unquote skinnier. It's what are the things that are going to help you preserve your mind, preserve your movement and that kind of thing. Because I've got 2 little boys. And I'd love for them to have families one day and for me to be the grandmother that can hang out with them at Disney World, things like that. So it's a bigger picture when you start looking at that. And I love that I call them my athletes because people that train with me, they are athletic. And so I'm like, those are the bigger pictures. Let's put aside the aesthetics. Those things come with the work.
Oh, it'll be a byproduct.
Yeah, it's a byproduct. That's a great way to put it. But I get a lot of people that are intimidated by, where do I start?
Yeah.
How do I do this? I've got these people on Instagram telling me not to do HIIT. I got these people over here telling me I got to weight train. I got these, but I don't know any of it. And it's all just a foreign language to me. And I'm blessed to have this knowledge. I've been in metabolic testing and drugs and medicine for the last 20 years. And I have a degree in it. So it all just made sense to me. So when I start breaking it down, I break it down for the dummy like me. So maybe that's something, not that your listeners are dummies, but it's really nice to have something easy to digest and understand.
That's right.
So
Because
that's what I have to do.
if you feel like you have to memorize a 50 chapter book to be able to make a lifestyle change, then it gets overwhelming.
Yeah. And a lot of the things that we're hearing are, they all say, oh, it's geared to women over 40, but there's so much nuance. So let's talk about a high level introduction to things, that if you're doing these things consistently, you will see improvement, or you will at least see your quality of life go up. And I think that's a big part of it.
I love it. So Jenny is going to actually work with us for the next few episodes to be able to create this foundation, to be able to identify areas where I think every listener will be able to see where they can improve and make some lifestyle changes to create this strong foundation for health, wellness, aging. And so we're going to break this into a few different episodes. We're going to try to make it piecemeal. Our suggestion would be, since our episodes release every couple weeks, that if you're listening to this, you really look for some things that you can identify with that would be opportunities for you at this time. And then we're going to layer it, because what I typically will do in a primary care setting is say, hey, we've got a lot of work to do. But if I start telling you all the 50 changes we need to make today, you're going to walk out and make none because you're just going to be too overwhelmed.
Way too
And so if we can just create, well, here's a few things, and then let's put those into practice. And then after you feel like I've got those down pat, in a couple weeks, we're going to give you a few more. And I think that's really, every day is about positive decision making, about trying to do the best we can with what's given to us that day. And the changes, we're going to warn you, the changes you're going to try to make in the next couple weeks aren't going to go great every single day. We don't give up. We just look for opportunities and we do better. Amber and I every day are like, well, what did we do well today? And what do we need to do better?
I think too, sometimes I'll tell patients, when you're trying to be like, okay, I want to do all the things and it becomes overwhelming, I'll tell patients, like, give me a year. Like, let that be, like, don't be, I'm going to do a quick fix in 6 months. Like, we got a lot of work to do, and let's start with a year. Like, let your expectation be, this is going to take time and it's going to take commitment.
And I think about how quick a year goes.
Yes.
by,
Of course.
though. When you think about what happened last year, how quickly it went by.
Yes.
If you think about it like that, it's like, wow, a year really isn't that long, but you could do so much if you have that perspective.
And I think sometimes too, like in our culture, because of quick fixes with social media, like it's like, well, if I'm not better in a month, if I don't look like Jenny in a month, well, then I'm just going to quit this program. And I'm like, no, you have to give it time.
And it didn't break in a day.
Yeah.
And there's a number of different things that you want to work on, but the worst thing you can do is overwhelm yourself and give up. So take your time and recognize that 6 months, a year, 2 years, that is such a small fragment of our life and decision making. And if in a year you feel remarkably better, then that was a short period of time to make profound changes.
And I think most of my clients that I've worked with, I think the frustration from their past, and this is what I experienced when I was younger, is that I feel like I have to go full force, 60 miles an hour to see some results. Otherwise, I don't know if it's working. And I don't want to work towards something that ultimately is stressing me out and causing me workload that's not right for me.
Right.
So I think that that's another, barrier to entry is, well, these influencers are telling me to do this, but what if that doesn't even work for me and I'm wasting all my time?
Right.
So again, the things that I want to talk about in the next 3 series is things that are just overall, if you are consistently doing these things, research-backed, science-backed, it's telling you that you're moving in a positive direction. So, so if you're okay with us jumping in.
Let's jump in. And so she's going to give us some kind of generalized foundation. If you were working with Jenny, and she does direct coaching, she will be able to kind of dig and make it more personalized. But what we want to do is sort of, if we were to create a one size fits all, which of course none of the three of us address a person in front of us that way, but these are the proven things that we need to do So you're going to say some stuff that I know they've heard Amber and I say before, because the science is the science.
It is.
And so let's jump in.
And our bodies are basically designed the same. Amber's cellular makeup looks about the same. Our genetics are different, and our environments and schedules are different. So those are the only things that you have to look into is, okay, how do I take this general information and apply it to myself?
Perfect.
So there are things that you can do every day. There are things in your lifestyle that we need to look at. There are things with your fitness that are going to help amplify the results that you want. And then obviously the fueling, the nutrition part of it, I think is the most difficult because there is so much science behind it. There's so much counting, calculating, trying to weigh out the options, and you're eating between 3 and 5 times a day. So it's like every couple of hours you're having to deal with that decision. But today, let's just talk about the lifestyle things, because if you're somebody who's, again, nervous about just getting started, these are things that you already do every single day. So let's look at optimizing these couple of things.
And I think if we optimize these things, it's going to set a strong foundation to make those fitness changes and those nutrition changes.
Right.
I think those are the things that people shy away from because they've struggled with them in the past. Oh, I hate exercise. I don't want to move. And you have to, but you don't have to hate it. But if you get better sleep and you do things better, you'll be more prepared to succeed in those things.
I fully agree with that.
Break us down into some good lifestyle coaching.
Okay. Well, this is something that as I was going into dementia prevention, this became like a hot topic. So it all for me was a kind of a place, an apex where I was like, wow, sleep is really the king of everything running our metabolic condition, our hormonal balance. It is the thing that what is the saying? I'll sleep when I'm dead, that kind of thing. And that comes from probably the generation before us. And I'm hoping that as our generation moves forward, the younger generation under us, we really, really start to appreciate what is that sleep doing? Because honestly, we put ourselves through damage all day long. And it is in rest and sleep that we actually repair and we kind of regenerate. And women, a lot of our hormonal balance is kind of reset at night in our brains. So if we're kind of truncating or we're cutting that off, we're not getting those full sleep cycles. Our sleep architecture is all over the place. So if we can start there, and what I mean by getting good sleep is consistent good scheduling. So not 9 hours this day and then 4 hours this day, but try to consistently get to bed at a time that's good for you. What does that mean, good for you? So Amber, you might, for example, have to wake up at 4 a.m. because you do PRN at emergency room or something like that. But what if you are going to bed earlier, right? So it makes sense for you. You're still getting 7 to 10 hours of sleep. So it doesn't matter when you go to bed, but it's like, are you getting that consistent time in there? That does take a little bit of discipline at first, especially if you're somebody who, this is what I hear, especially busy moms and busy dads that are working is, well, after we put the kids to sleep, those couple of hours at night, that's the only time I have to myself or with my spouse. So you have to weigh out, okay, let me condense that time with my spouse into 45 minutes instead of 2 hours and drinking wine, that kind of thing. Let's be a little bit smarter about the time that I'm spending so that I can make sure that I get to bed at 9:30 or 10 so that I'm getting that 7 to 8 hours before I have to wake up the next day. So sleep is one of those things, and it's the deepness of sleep. So if you are somebody who you know that your spouse is snoring every night, and I know y'all talk to your patients about this all the time, is get a sleep study done. If you're having interrupted sleep and you know that you're up and down, or women that get up and I have to pee every night, not necessarily. It's probably cortisol dysregulation or something that's going on there. So maybe get some lab tests done to see what the bigger picture is, instead of just saying, I'm just terrible at sleep.
I don't sleep good.
Yeah, I'm just terrible at sleep, or I have to have an Ambien before I go to sleep. Instead of just saying I'm a bad sleeper, there might be deeper things going on there. So again, sleep is one of those things. You almost need a sleep therapist if you are somebody who struggles with that. Don't just go, well, I'm a bad sleeper or I snore at night and all this stuff. find a physician like yourself to do. Do y'all do sleep studies here?
We do.
Okay.
We have home sleep studies as well as sending people to sleep labs. And so you can get a sleep study done from the comfort of your own home. It doesn't have to be that intimidating. Oh, I'm going to go spend the night somewhere else. We also have our therapist that does applied behavioral therapy for sleep, which is a great way to help with sleep therapy.
Cool.
And then I think also having conversations around any kind of sleep aids that you're using, even if they're over the counter, they may make you fall asleep. They may make you stay asleep, but they may mess up your sleep architecture and not give you good REM, non-REM.
Absolutely.
And you may not be getting the restorative sleep. And you mentioned the metabolic issues that can come from poor sleep because there's so much going on with our hormone levels while we sleep. And so if you're not getting the right non-REM, REM sleep patterns, Amber and I have done a podcast about all of the sleep patterns and what happens to your body in each one of those and how important it is that you actually go through that sleep cycle for the 7 to 8 hours, and reminding people that is not collective over the course of like a 24-hour period. It needs to be 7 or 8 continuous hours, and nap the next day doesn't add on to what you did at night. And so really making sure, we've also talked in depth about sleep hygiene and protecting your habits, making sure that you have a dark space, you turn off your blue screens, that
Very
you get your
important.
electronics out of your bedroom, that you are trying to fall asleep at the same time, because much like a newborn, you can't decide to go to sleep at 7 p.m. one day, midnight the next, 8 the next, and think this is going to work. It's not. Your body's going to be very confused. And so if you scroll back through a lot of our podcasts, you'll find a lot on sleep, because we very much agree with you that it's the foundation for everything.
Thank you.
And it's not hard. It's frustrating when it's not working, but it's not hard. We're not asking you to go work out for 4 hours. We're asking you to really first prioritize and recognize how important sleep is, because in this society, we like to downgrade the importance of sleep, and we act like you're weak if you feel like you need sleep. And there's a great chapter in Dr. Peter Attia's book, Outlive, about sleep and the priority of it. And he said that he used to subscribe to I'll sleep when I'm dead. And now he tells people, well, you'll get there a lot sooner if you do not sleep well.
Yeah. And when we're talking about dementia prevention specifically, there is a brain wash that happens every night, and you've got to get into those stages of sleep. Otherwise, you're going to get that plaque buildup and those beta amyloid, all the things that you don't want, that they dissect people with Alzheimer's and they find. We don't want that. Now, I will say, so just so we don't scare people, what about the new moms that are having to get up and feed babies and all that stuff? I get that question a lot. And I go, you know what? You're in a transitional period of life, and it's transient. It will go away. It might last longer than other moms, but it's not going to put you in the grave sooner. So what I always say is do your best. You'll come out of that transitional period, and you can get back into the swing of life. But the biggest thing is to have a lot of grace with yourself when you're in those periods, and not stress out and think that you're killing yourself by doing this. Your biggest thing right now is keeping that baby as healthy and thriving as possible. So I get that question all the time.
I think that's great that you bring that up. And there were things like residency for me where it's like, well, for 3 years, you're not going to sleep. And so you have to balance that, but you also have to do the best you can with what your options are. So if you are a third shift worker, you have to still carve out an ability to get 7 hours and come home, get to bed, turn
really dark room.
Adjust
and we need our third
atmosphere.
shifters like to make this world work. We need you, but you try to take care.
You got to make those adjustments. You can't downgrade the importance of your sleep because you're in third shift for 20 years.
That's right.
You have to really make those other accommodations. But then in those times too, and for the new moms and anyone else who's in this temporary, I don't get all the decision making here. There are other little ones depending on me. I think also don't hesitate to ask for help. I took way too long when my child wasn't sleeping to get my husband involved. And I've told the story before that I started stuttering and I was pretty sure I had a brain tumor and was about to see a neurologist, and it was all sleep deprivation. And I finally was like, we have to rotate nights. We can't keep doing, I was doing the first half of the night. He was doing the last half. And we thought we were teaming up well, but I needed 8 consecutive hours. And so then I would do a night and not get interruption at all. And then he would do the night to not get interruption at all. And we would, play with it in different ways, but you'll know when it's not working for you because you don't feel well.
Right.
And other things, you're gaining weight, you're dragging, things of that sort.
Yeah.
And when that's happening, ask for help.
And to make a nod to that with the weight gain and everything like that, sometimes we are going against the grain so much with our sleep that then we are thrown off our leptin and our ghrelin levels, the things that signal us that you're done eating or, you need to eat or you're full, whatever. Those things get thrown off too. It's all very interrelated. Yeah. So if we can keep our cortisol levels kind of even, awesome. And another thing as far as lifestyle goes is wake up in the morning, get some vitamin D, get that sunlight if you can, first thing in the morning. So this morning I went out, walked in my grass barefoot with my dogs, and then I sat on my porch 2 minutes, got some sunlight in my eyes. And what that does is it creates this like dopamine. And I'm not a sleep specialist or a ophthalmologist, but there is research to show if you get that morning sunlight, it will cause this cascade of dopamine response. That cortisol rhythm will start to happen more naturally. So if you're finding that you're getting up to pee every night, it might be that your cortisol is kind of knocking at the door a little bit and waking you up unnecessarily. Your body temperature is a little bit higher. You need to be about 2 to 3 degrees body temperature decline as you go to bed to stay asleep. And cortisol raising can kind of warm that body up and keep that warm. So science geeky, that cortisol will keep your body warm. We need it to be cool. Try to get that early sunlight, and that little bit might make a difference. Another thing is added stress during the day. So that with the baby, that's a great segue into that. Some of us have daily stresses. Some of us are going through divorces and really crappy jobs, and maybe your kids are driving you crazy. There's stresses that you can't really. I always use the geriatric patient parent that's staying with you. You can't just eliminate some stressors.
No.
But you can ask for help. You can use other resources. You can meditate. You can do things that kind of quiet the sympathetic nervous system a little bit. So there are meditation apps that do 3-minute meditations, just sitting in your car, quiet, things like that we think all of this stuff is so difficult until we look at just piece by piece. What are some little things that can better my life? All of the things that we've talked about today are metabolically healthier. One other thing that is huge, and this is the thing that I'll leave with, are daily walks, or at least almost daily walks, especially if you're somebody who works a sedentary life. So if you were behind a desk, or like I was behind a steering wheel all the time, getting up and doing 10 air squats every 30 minutes to an hour, go for a 1/4 mile walk outside of your building if you can, get a walking pad. Those things are life-changing, because right now we live in a sedentary culture, but we're not sedentary creatures. Mm-hmm. So break it up. And I know it sounds so simple, really doing 10 squats an hour. It has been shown to actually take a sedentary lifestyle and turn it into just a sedentary job with an active person working. So
it's the neat stuff.
Neat. Yeah. Non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Yes. Yeah. So we'll talk a little bit about that.
We've been wanting to talk about that on a podcast. Yeah. I'm like, we need to talk about NEAT. And we were like, we'll bring it up with Jenny.
NEAT is, that's one of the things that I've started talking to with my perimenopause clients, because I think we undervalue that. So if y'all want to talk about that during the fitness part of it, I will absolutely go into that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And, I think people can simplify this and stack it and say, okay, when I wake up in the morning, I'm going to go sit on my front porch and I'm going to do a 3-minute meditation. I can put on the Calm app and get some sunlight on my face. And I've already started my day less stressful, started to process some things, and got the sun to get my circadian rhythm going, get those serotonin and dopamine starting to rise. And then I'm going to take my lunch break. I don't have to carve out extra time because we know how busy everyone is. I'm going to take my lunch break and go for a 15-minute walk. Eat and then walk. Return to your desk feeling better. There are just easy ways to incorporate, and then get yourself in a routine that respects your sleep so that you have a set bedtime that allows you to kind of backcast what 7 hours from wake up looks like. and get good sleep. And if you aren't putting thought into this, it's going to get away from you. So I would say sit down and get a plan. For the next 2 weeks, we're going to ask that you try to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep, consistent on a schedule. Look at your sleep hygiene.
Can I give you a really easy little rule that I do for my clients? I've actually used this myself, and we could talk about this applying to all three of these portions. The 2 in a row rule. So what it is it's a way for you to practice discipline to create consistent habits, to where all of a sudden you don't need the discipline because it's now just a habit. It's now something you do and you look forward to it. But the 2 in a row rule is where you create a rule going, I have to do something twice in a row, or I can't skip something twice in a row. So for example, I cannot go to bed past 9 p.m. 2 nights in a row.
I love it.
So what that does is it creates a problem solver out of you, and it creates the, you can't make excuses as much. You're like, no, this is just my rule. And some people are like, your friends, that's a stupid rule. Come have another beer with us. That's a stupid rule. It's arbitrary. It might seem arbitrary, but if you start breaking the 2 in a row rule, what are you going to do? You're just going to be that same person you were when you started.
Right. And we're not saying the 75 in a row rule. It's 2. Let's target for 2. Getting this right twice. So in the next 2 weeks, until you hear from us in 2 weeks, you are going to work on your sleep. You're coming up with small habits for stress, getting some sunlight in the morning, and really just creating this. I'm gonna try to have a foundation of thinking about my health, prioritizing my health by looking at stress management and sleep management.
That's right.
Perfect. And then we'll be back in 2 weeks to get our next assignments from Jenny.
Thank you.
We like to leave you on a good note. Today's Tell Me Something Good is volcanoes. And I know you weren't thinking I was going to say that, but we recently went on vacation and we were at a national park, and there was actually a real life volcano erupting while we were there. It was one of the most beautiful things, and maybe a little terrifying things I've ever seen, but it was something my family will never forget. I am so thankful that we were able to experience it. So that's today's Tell Me Something Good. And until next time, take care of yourself.